So today we have with us Prashad Gone, who is the senior UX designer at Intuit. He was earlier the senior lead interaction designer at Samsung. So the first one is what is a case study, and you've kind of divided it into three different major parts, I guess here.
So if you just Google what's a case study and what makes an awesome case study. So this is just one image I've put, and there are like bunch of similar images. So if you zoom in, you'll see a structure there, like my awesome case study, and you'll find similar references which talks about solving a problem and doing design is one part. Case study is actually showcasing. So case study basically talks about showcasing your design work. So this is something which you'll find online everywhere, which talks about like a structure where you should start with an overview. There should be a problem statement, then you should know your audience and users, then what was your role and responsibility in that project, how did you define scope, what exactly did you do and how did you solve problem, and finally what were the results and outcome and what were your lessons. And this is like the Google or by far a lot of people's definition of an awesome case study. But if you ask me, from like being from industry and also being a recruiter in the industry, will that really make an awesome case study? I would say no. And the reason being, like just to give you an example, if had there been a formula to make an awesome chai, so like one nukkad wala guy is making an awesome chai, he knows like the perfect ingredients to make an awesome chai. If this formula was out in the market that this is how you make a perfect tea, and if there, so all the stalls copy that idea and everyone is having a perfect tea, so then you won't identify which one is the perfect. So someone has to do something different so that they bring in that awesomeness to it. According to me, like this is one very interesting quote which I found and which I really like, which is every great design begins with an even better story. To be really honest, designers, what we really do eventually when you go up in ladder up in your career, we sell stories. So that's just fact. So a case study is a story. It's a story of your design project. Why? So now that we have established that it is about story which you want to tell, now why does it have to be unique? So imagine like you went to watch a movie and then you watched a movie and then you, like a typical Bollywood movie, and you were like, okay, so the movie was about, there was a guy, there was a girl, then cops finally arrived in the end. So very typical story. So you will say that it was a typical movie. You will not probably like it, but what are the kind of movies you talk about, or what you write? Like the movies which are really interesting, something unique which you have never seen. So that's the key here. So a story should be something which is unique and which you have never seen or heard. And taking the same example which we saw earlier, where there is a very definite structure and formula to it, probably yes, definitely you should use that structure, but that's not how you should present or showcase your design work. That should be a story. So that's where I want to go. And now talking about like making a unique story, so what really makes a case study unique is the you part, or your you aspect in it. So as recruiters, or as like we being from industry and we recruiting a lot of people, we want to know your experience while you are doing that project. We want to know what were your challenges which you faced. We want to know how did you overcome those challenges. So you is very important. So we want to see the story, we want to see the project from your perspective, from your angle. And that's because it is you which is in picture, that is something which is going to make it unique, because you won't be same. Like someone else will have some like a completely different perspective. Like even the problem being same, the perspective would be different, the way they would solve the problem would be different. So you is the key here which will make every story unique. Imagine creating a case study is another design project. So imagine it to be like an extended design project. So if you do one design project, that is one part. Making a case study out of it should be another design project. And in like I truly believe it's another design project. Why I would say that, like if you have to create a case study, you should know first of all who are the users of this case study. Why are you even creating a case study? So of course you're creating a case study because you want to showcase it to recruiters, hiring managers, get a job. So it's very important to understand users. Then it's also important to understand their needs. So if I'm a hiring manager, if I'm a recruiter, what are my needs? Like what am I seeing when I'm seeing a case study or a portfolio? So what I'm essentially seeing is the candidate able to solve problems? So that's one thing which I'm looking for, because once you come into my organization, I should make sure that you solve problems here. So I want to make sure that you are capable of solving problems. Then, talking about craft skills, so you can solve problem, but are you good at your craft? Like, are they, I mean, whatever designs you make, are they good enough to go to the market? So how good are you with your craft skills? So I want to see that. So that's another need of mine. Then, if I hire you, what value you'd add to the table? I probably I have 3 4 designers already. So if I hire one more, what exactly you will add to the table? So bringing in value is also equally important. And then, if I have a couple of designers already and if I hire you, how good you will fit into the team. So that these are like high level things which, in my experience with what I have observed, like I have also been a recruiter earlier. So this is what we generally see. So, are you able to solve problems? Are you good at craft skills? Are you able to add value? And will you be a good fit in the organization? And also looking at the challenges. So now, talking about me as a recruiter, my biggest challenge is like, if I create one opening or one role, I get like more than 200 applications, and that's like true. And even before going towards the interview, I should know which candidates I should interview. And honestly, just as a matter of fact, if any recruiter spends, like, probably you guys already know it, like they spend, you put in months of effort to create a case study, but a recruiter spends like 60 to 90 seconds, or maximum 2 minutes, to look at that case study. So that's one challenge for me. Like, as a recruiter, there are 200 applications. I have to look through 200 portfolios. That's really a challenge. And those portfolios are lengthy, because I understand from a student perspective or from a designer perspective, we try to make sure that we tell our story the most beautiful way, in the most elaborate way. Like, we try to tell every possible detail which we thought of, and that makes the portfolio lengthy. But we're not thinking of the users then, that what are they looking at, what how much time they have. Because again, next point is limited time. I have very limited time at hand. I have to look at 200 portfolios. So this is also another important challenge which you should think of when you're creating your case study. And there's always a pressure that the hiring should be fast. So now I believe, now that you've looked at it as a design project, now you clearly know that, who am I creating this for? What are they really, what do they really need from this case study, and what are their challenges? And now, when you begin, you kind of have a bird's eye view of solving that as a problem. Like, creating a case study is actually another solving problem. And so, yeah, I would like to put it as like creating a case study, like solve it as a designer. So that's how I generally explain it. So now I think, now that we've established that this is about solving problem, creating a case study is in a way solving problem. So that means that there are like a lot of people who must have already solved that problem, and they must have already created solutions for it. So here are a few ready-made solutions, aka tips from my end, which you guys can use while
Microwave.
create.
Microwave stuff, you know.
So the first one is setting the right expectations. So what does it really mean, and what I want to really talk about is, when you start explaining your case study or start explaining your portfolio, case study, your story, start with the glimpse of the final outcome. So, as a recruiter, I know what to expect. So, setting the right expectations early is very important. Like, if it is a research project, I would like to say, what are the insights which you come up with? If it is a UI UX project where you created an app or a website, I would like to see what is the final thing which you have achieved. So now I know what has been achieved. I can like be part of your journey to see how did you go from where you were to that final outcome.
A
Yeah.
lot of portfolios might have a bunch of screens along with the problem and the solution on top. And then you can scroll down to kind of see the process of coming to that solution.
Correct.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that really helps, because I know the output. Now I am really interested to know the process. Now I'm really interested, from where you started, how did you end up there, like what routes you took, what was your journey, how, what were the challenges you faced. So I am really intrigued by that. So that's the first takeaway, like set the right expectations, or first tip. Second tip which I want to talk about is make your case study scannable. And this is also very important from a recruiter perspective, because I've talked about how they have 200, more than 200 applications, how the portfolios are lengthy, how they spend just like few seconds, I mean 60 to 90 seconds on a portfolio. It's very important that your case study is scannable, that just by scanning your case study, I know what you have done. So what is really important here is using the right amount and right mix of text and visuals. So it shouldn't be very verbose, lot of text, or it shouldn't be just visuals. You have shown the screens and we don't know what you're thinking, what was your thought process. So it should be a good mix of text and visuals that makes it really scannable. And also headings. So this is like a very small point, but it plays a really really important role, which I believe, which is using headings. And also not just using headings, but using it descriptively.
Like
For example, if you like write, sorry, yeah, go ahead, Puneet.
visual hierarchy should be there. I feel a lot of
Correct.
portfolios, they're just continuously just going on and on and on, but you don't really see what is like a recruiter. Like I've recruited also, and man, I don't even care about half the things that are in there. I just want to get to the crust of everything, and if it's that's bang on, then it's fine. Otherwise, I'm moving on. So
Correct. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, that's totally correct. And hence, as Puneet rightly mentioned, there should be a visual hierarchy, there should be a structure, there should be a story, the way it is flowing, the case study is flowing. And hence, headings plays really important role, because heading kind of tells us the the what do you say, check marks or the checkpoints. The first checkpoint was this, the second checkpoint was this, and then through the checkpoints you don't really need to go through the in between journey. You kind of know what must have gone through in between. So those checkpoints really help me quickly glance through and know the entire process. And that's how important headings are. And also, headings should be more descriptive. And what I mean by here is, probably like instead of writing, let's say, research or secondary research or research, you can probably write more like stuff. You must have already seen stuff in YouTube videos. If people do not, how interesting the caption, I mean the title is, so that everyone clicks on the video. So you should make it more descriptive with more questions, like instead of writing research, probably I would say understanding why do people donate. So now as a recruiter, I'm like curious, oh, why do people donate? I want to know, because if this project is about donations, so use headings wisely and more descriptively, that so that your audience is all the time gripped. So because you remember, they have very less time, they have a lot of portfolios to read, so it's very important for you to get their attention. So the
wise
next,
over what's nice, interesting.
yes. So again, so the next thing which you should really take care of, and which recruiters really care about, is knowing the whys than the whats. So when I say whys, what I mean is, why did you do a certain thing which you did? So what is basically, you tell that, oh, what I did is I did user research, then what I did is I created personas, then I did some secondary research, then I did affinity mapping, then I did information hierarchy, then I did, then I did wireframing. So those are like whats. So that kind of, as a recruiter, it just tells me the design process, that does not tell me why. So it's very important to know why did you choose that method, and how did you think that method would help you in your project. So if you're doing user research, why did you think that user research would help for this particular problem? What will happen if you talk to users? What are your hypotheses, that, you know what, if I talk to users, let's take an example of like you're
Yeah, like
creating a,
validating a hypothesis for sure. Like
correct,
if you
yeah.
say right in your case study, say a line where you say, okay, this is the hypothesis that was made, or a hypothetical problem statement around a certain feature or whatever it is you're working on. You can always say, I wanted to validate whether users require certain features like this, or I
Correct.
wanted to validate if users actually have this kind of problem, or a larger number of users had this problem. Because like if 2 users out of 1,000 people have a problem, you won't look at those 2 users, that's for sure. You generally want to make sure that the larger amount of your users are requiring a certain thing to happen to actually make that change or to actually bring something to life. So I
Yeah,
think
that's
one of
correct.
those.
That's like,
I mean,
yeah, nicely put, Punit. So yeah, that's what it is. Like you should, as a recruiter, we care about why did you do that particular thing and what did you learn from it. So that's really important. So if you, let's say, if you're doing customer empathy map, if you just like I did customer empathy map, we want to know like how did you even think that, why you thought of doing a customer empathy map. You should have an answer to that. I thought of this because I thought probably by doing it I'll know what are the emotions users is going through while using a product, what are they thinking, what are they, like there are like a lot of bunch of stuff which goes there. So we want to know that why. So hence whys over what's is what I believe we should do. And also I've added like also slide in some hows, because uh, while you're talking about that, also slide in some hows so that we know you're good at that craft. So if you did a particular thing, how did you do it, kind of tells that, oh, you know how to do it. So you kind of tell that by doing this way you kind of express that I know this craft also. So hence in a subtle way you can also slide in some house there, I believe. Yeah, so this is again one more thing. So people generally feel that as like if I tried something and that didn't work out, should I really add that in my case study? Because I tried it, it was not that great. I talked to user and user said, oh, I don't want that, I don't care about that particular thing. So and hence we tend to drop that thing in the final case study. But honestly, as a recruiter, we really want to see all those failures. And why? Because industry in the how industry works is like there is no perfect world. Like when you actually come to any organization where you work with them, there are going to be failures. Like always there are going to be failures. What really important is like when you hit a failure, how did you come out of it, and what were your learnings takeaways from it, and how did you took those learnings and went back to your design and corrected it. So that's the process which we are really excited and which we really want to see. So hence don't shy away from failure, like talk about them. That's something which really, like I don't know if I should use this word, turns on the